good morning, everyone. Welcome to Life Community Church Sunday broadcast. I'm Pastor Lawrence Temple. I had a little surgery a little while ago, so while I'm recuperating, I thought it good to hear a voice from one of our members. Sometimes we'll have a ministry friend or a member or someone to share or help share something of the word. So today we have one of our members, Mr. Marcus Johnson, and he's going to help as we kind of share back and forth about a topic that I asked him to share about today. We're going to talk about the human part of being a believer. We know there's the spiritual side, but God doesn't only deal with that part of us. And so that's the kind of our discussion we're going to be having today. So, Mr. Johnson, how are you doing?
I'm doing well on this afternoon. It's not raining yet. I'm doing well. Getting the last couple of days of rest in before school starts. So I'm doing good.
Okay. All right. I'm in the same category. So we're talking about the other parts of us beside just the spiritual part, or maybe a better way to say it is how it is spiritual to take care of other parts of your body, of your life. Um, and I know you talked to me about a lot about that just in regular conversations over the months and years. So how about you give us a jumping off point about this?
First of all, I know the verses you shared with me. The one that stuck out to me in particular, I believe it was Mark 6:31, where it said, "And he said unto them, Come ye yourselves apart into a desert place and rest a while. For there were many coming and going, and they had no leisure so much as to eat." The part that really stuck out to me was says, "And rest a while." When you kind of presented this topic out, I don't know what really kind of jumped out to me was religion. And what I mean by that is, we were taught probably from day one that uh, you got to do this, you have to do that, uh, you better not miss church, uh, and things of that nature. And I know religion just kind of kept just popping up, and we have to stop and pause sometimes and think, are we not allowed to participate in other things? You know,
Yes,
um,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So, and I thought the other thing that kind of struck me was God charges us with one of our duties is to invite people into the kingdom, get more people to come and multiply in that regard. And I was thinking, if we're not involved in other things, um, if we're not going to the Transformers movie and people are right, and people are seeing us, and we're Christians, and how do would we look to them if it was just church, church, church all the time? You always plugged in, you're in the grocery store, and you're on your knees praying, that kind of stuff. And I was just kind of thinking about that. How do we look to others if we're trying to invite them in and we're plugged in 100% of the time and we can't just go buy some bread from Publix?
Oh my goodness. I get it. I was in that kind of wrong mindset once upon a time as a younger Christian. Like everything else that was just fun or leisure or whatever was somehow bad or whatever. And even I know Paul, he talked about in 1 Corinthians 9 about being all things to all people
Mm,
so that by all means he might save some. So he understood that how I approach people and approach the world is is important, and it's not just me being any way I want to be. And so that relates to what you're talking about, just
right,
being
right,
humanizing ourselves, because we are still humans, though we are spirit and all that kind of stuff.
right. I was thinking that, and I know some people have full on done this before. Uh, you pay for a vacation package, but the vacation package says it's from Thursday through Sunday, and someone cancels their vacation package because Sunday's in that group of days. So and like we're right, like we're
I've
saying,
done that.
right, like we're saying, it's. It's okay. And I know you say a lot of time, and this ain't for everybody. Some folk need to be there. However, you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're consistent. There's nothing wrong with living that human side and taking that vacation. You're not gonna be gone for a month, but just to kind of unplug and relax.
Goodness gracious. I just amen everything you're saying. And I have all the things you're saying, I have done them right and I have I have done them wrong
Yeah.
and well meaning, very
Right.
well meaning,
Right.
but again, I think it's a warning against extremes. You don't want to be the
Right.
person who never goes to church, who never connects with God, whatever, but you don't want to feel like it's a prison and that every time if you don't do such and such one time, I'm in trouble.
Right. 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 I think one of the best things you've done over the past couple of years, which is great, is those times when you'll say, "Hey, I won't be uh doing the word at church today. I'm going to get my camera and I'm going to go out and take some photos." And I think that's great because I don't know. I guess we think that people that are pastors, preachers, teachers, and ministers are superhuman. No, they need rest too, if you know what I mean. So, and that's great that you do that from time to time.
I want to tell you that someone did me a
Mhm.
favor. A teacher friend of
Mhm.
mine that I actually just texted a few minutes ago, who's also a minister. We worked together. And at the time, our church was maybe 5 years old or so.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he asked me at lunch, out of the blue, when was the last time I had not preached on a Sunday or a Wednesday?
Wow. Right.
And our church was years old at the time.
Yeah.
And I could not think of one. And he
Mhm.
got very serious with me. He said, you need to immediately change that because you
Right.
can burn yourself, well meaning,
Right. Right.
burn yourself out, preach
Mhm.
yourself into a stroke. I mean, he was very direct. And
Mhm.
from that moment on, we started to do the thing where, like, once a month,
Right.
Pastor Sandra would preach or
There you
whatever, and
go.
I'll
Right.
step away,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Goodness gracious. Yes. So on
Right.
time. And
Mhm.
it's okay to be balanced. Wow. That's great.
Right. Right. So in actuality, you realize that yeah, you're still human. You're still human. So you have to do human things and whatnot. And a part of that is rest and kind of just pulling away for a little while just to recharge and come back.
Goodness. I had the thought the other day when I was walking the dog, in churches where I came up, whatever, where there was, as it should be, an emphasis on the spirit,
Right.
spiritual gifts, hearing God, power of the word, being a light. Yes, but I also reflected on churches where I've attended, they that focused on that, but where also leaders and members had affairs, had sicknesses, died young, and that kind of showed me that all of that spirit
Mm.
does not cancel out your need for
Wow. Right.
fellowship,
Right.
talking to people,
Right.
friendships, health, blood pressure,
Yeah.
because I know
Yeah.
of ministers that
Right.
had very powerful
Mm.
anointings and they
Mm.
were sick and they died young and had divorce, all of that. So
Mm.
the spirit part doesn't cancel out the other parts of our humanness that we need to take care of.
Right. Right. And I'm just going back to that verse again. That part that keeps jumping out says, "And rest a while." A while doesn't mean it didn't say forever. It just said a while. And I just feel like that's just a moment to just recharge, just to recharge. So if you are a leader in ministry, you can be refreshed for the people, or if you're just a regular member, just sometimes you're human. Go play some tennis.
Goodness.
Um,
Pickleball.
right, go play some pickleball. And things like that. And it keeps jumping out that I don't know, for some whatever reason, the religion part of it had us so locked into the point of, oh no, you got to be locked in 100% of the time, no breaks. I can remember being a kid, man. There's one particular church, man, there was morning service, and then there was the evening service. Okay, and this wasn't half an hour; it was like all day long. Just that kind of religious thing of just, oh, you got to be there 10 hours a day, or you got to be locked in 100% of the time, and uh, not the case.
You know, I, I was I went to go take pictures and take a drive, and I went to eat at this place, and I had a book in my backpack about rest and stuff I forgot was in there, and leisure. And one of the little mini articles, it talked about how important hobbies are.
Hmm.
But the point it made was that a lot of people, when people think hobby, they think, something I can rest to
Hmm.
do. But it
Hmm.
was saying a lot of people's hobbies actually are very mentally taxing. Like someone's
Hmm.
hobby might be to rebuild cars.
Right.
That's work. But the thing
Hmm.
that makes it refreshing is that it's something you're choosing to
Right.
do.
Hmm.
Your hobby might be to work out. That's work. But
Right.
because
Right.
you're
Right.
choosing it and want
Right.
to do it, it refreshes you. And so I
Absolutely.
think that's even the thing about it's not even necessarily that having multiple services are bad or long services are bad or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
if you never get to do what you're choosing to do,
Yes.
that's when things
Yes.
become a
Right.
burden. It's not
Burden.
so much a
Right.
number of
Right.
minutes or so. Yeah. And then when you
Right.
feel like I
Right.
can't, almost like this
Right.
panicky,
This is what I'm saying. Right. Right. It was an emphasis on, oh man, you better be there. You don't feel like you didn't have a choice.
yeah.
No. And that was kind of out there a little bit.
Could you also talk to us because you're an athlete yourself and you
Hmm.
coach and
Hmm.
you're in the world of sports
Right.
about the health, body,
Right.
exercise? Could you
Yeah.
talk about that even as being a believer?
Yeah. I really, and I'm experienced right now. I'll be 50 years old in January. And
Okay.
even more so now, I notice that when I have those parts where I'm not active, are the times where I don't feel as great.
Okay.
So if I don't get an opportunity to get out and run or move, I don't feel as good. Whereas if I have a regimen of it, I feel a lot better. My energy is up, and it's just something I just try to implement at least a couple of times a week. And it really helps you say with the coaching because I'm around the younger people, so they kind of keep me moving too. So that part definitely, and the doctor says all the time that your body was built with joints and things of that nature. It was built to move. So yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. And again, and it's something that doesn't have to be overdone. No, you don't have to go bench 300 pounds or whatever. It's just getting out of your neighborhood, walk around the block a couple times a week. Keep that blood flowing and that heart strong. So yeah, definitely. Um, movement has always been a part of my life from a kid, growing up, playing ball, playing sports, and all that kind of stuff. So my goal is to never stop moving. I was inspired. I was at the Port Orange Y a couple of weeks ago, and there was this gentleman there, and he was out there shooting around and whatnot. And I just asked him, "Hey, how old are you?" He said, "Oh, I said, buddy, I'm 74 years old, right?" And he was still out there shooting around. I said, "Wow," and that inspired me. And then when we actually started playing, there was another gentleman. He was like 68, and he was actually, and I love the way he did it. He wasn't trying to go crazy. Okay, he was just kind of taking his time, just getting up and down, doing what he could, smiling, enjoying himself. I'm saying, man, he's out here. He's out here moving. He's out here
Goodness.
doing it. Just, I feel like adding minutes onto his life every time up and down the court. So, yeah.
So wait, so you mean me just sitting with a TV tray in the house,
Hmm.
quoting "By His stripes I'm healed" and praying worship music, that alone won't keep me healthy? I actually have to get up and move my body and eat right. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Just like the Christian that's looking for the new car, sitting staring at the sales paper. No, you actually have to get up and go to the car lot.
Bam.
Same, yes, same thing. Yes. So no, TV tray won't get it for you.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
Okay. I'm just
sorry.
finding different ways kind of to say the same thing.
Right, right,
You're a
right,
multifaceted
right.
person.
Now again, there's nothing wrong with the TV tray when Florida's playing Alabama
Okay.
and
Right.
you're watching the game and whatnot. But at some point slide the TV tray to the side, go get the dog leash,
Okay.
and walk around the block.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So it sounds like what we're talking about is that even as a believer, even as a
Mhm.
Christian, we are still a multi-part, multifaceted person. That we have our spiritual part, but
Right.
we also have our mind and emotions, and we have a body, and all
Right.
those things, even in Christ,
Right.
need to be taken care of, addressed, or maintained. If I'm getting it right.
You're getting it right. And again, I just keep thinking about that. How do we look to others that are not believers?
Mm-hmm.
If we're not participatory in just the normal things of life, you know, how can we invite them in? Because let's be honest, it's hard to just go out on the street nowadays and say, "Hey, are you a believer? Hey, come to Christ." Most of the time, people like to see how you live, see what example you're giving off, um, and they can see, hey, it's just a normal person living for God. They're not, you know, any different in doing participating in the things of life. However, we always have to be careful. I was thinking about this too. We do have to be cognizant of what we may struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
So I know at some point as a kid, we were all afraid of the dark.
Okay.
And I know I was. And if fear is something you deal with, um, I'm probably not going to go see Insidious, the movie.
Child, please.
Right. I'm probably not going to go do that, because we're talking about participating in just normal life, normal everyday things and whatnot. If it was a bad relationship or something, maybe there's a party I shouldn't go to.
That's
Right.
really good. That's real.
Right. Right. Because whoever may be there and you know it. So there is some wisdom in that as well. If you struggle in an area that you might not just want to dive into that particular thing.
Listen, I know of some Christians who very wisely they did not go around the cookout
Yeah.
or the neighborhood get together because they
Mhm.
knew where they were in their life at that moment. They knew some things are going to be going on.
Right.
The little group that
Right.
goes off in the corner or whatever. Okay, and they knew. Listen, I'm trying to keep myself clean, and I
Right.
haven't been doing well for that long.
Right.
No, I better just say
Right.
hi, maybe drive through, stick my head out the window, point at some people, hey, and keep on going.
And people are going right.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
you need to know what your own weaknesses is. And I'll say judgment too, because let's say you didn't go to the cookout because you know there's gonna be people over there
Hmm.
smoking weed or whatever.
In the spot. Right.
And that was a good choice for you not to go.
Yeah.
But then later you find out that your other friend,
Hmm.
cousin who is a Christian, they did go.
Hmm.
And then later you jump on them and tell them that they shouldn't have been there. Well, wait.
Right.
They may not be struggling like you.
Right.
So you don't
Absolutely.
need to put the limitations that are good for you,
Hmm.
you don't need to put them on someone else
Yeah.
because they might be fine, with that.
Exactly. Absolutely. So there's some wisdom in that so you just don't get yourself jacked up and caught up. I agree
I,
100%.
I love it. So this sounds like being a believer is a practical, real world thing, right?
Yes.
And not just something floating out in heaven and in space one day. It sounds like what you're talking. Seems like what you're talking
Right.
about.
You're absolutely right. It's just like anything else. Even if you're not a Christian and I don't know, you just beat alcoholism. All right. And the boys call, no, you can't go to happy hour.
Ah,
Just practical, everyday stuff. It just kind of be wise and kind of guard yourself against.
man. And the last thing I want to ask you about, we were talking about spiritual, of course. We talked about some of the physical and some of these other things. On the emotional side, what about just the benefit of laughter and
Mm,
fun? Can you
hmm
say, is it okay for me to have fun?
hmm
Sounds like an odd question, but it needs to be asked as a
Right.
Christian. What about that?
Absolutely right. You're definitely right. I mean, laughter is like a balm. Although where I just experienced that, unfortunately, we lost a family member a couple of weeks back, and it's interesting that although we were there for that occasion, and this was God just providing peace.
Yeah.
There were times when, man, and this was the mother of my cousin that passed away. This was the mother. Man, that day after, we were all just laughing, people cracking jokes. She was smiling, laughing. She's doing belly laughs. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, wow, those are little increments of healing to even be able to laugh at a time like that. So you were absolutely 100% right. And I saw that. I was like, whoa, man, everybody's in here laughing. I mean, we just had a bad day yesterday. And again, that was God, um, you know, Philippians 4 and 6, just providing peace, taking away some of the anxiety, even if it was for a moment.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
sure later on, right? I'm sure later on, the grieving process was still going on, still is now, but still, just that moment and those little ticks, and before you know it, that thing will form a long line, and you'll have peace altogether.
Hey man, that's awesome. Yes,
Yeah.
we lost my brother-in-law, maybe like 2 weeks after your family member
Right.
passed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It
yeah,
was about 2 weeks. Yeah.
and we saw the same thing, that power of laughter. And I think sometimes we we feel like we have to help God by being serious.
Oh wow.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're running the world for him and we're showing him what to do. By whatever I frown at, God is
Right.
going to intervene.
Yeah.
and
You're
and
right.
and we're acting like we're in charge and our attitude controls everything,
Control everything. Right. Right.
and it doesn't.
Right.
And
You
that's
said you said something important. We're at church the other week that needs to be said again when you said it just felt good to be around people. And I thought that was important because too many times we try to be superhuman and get off somewhere by ourselves and just grieve, 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 grieve. And, oh, I can take this. So that was really important that you said that because isn't church about help and not being alone?
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was good you said that because that was very important. You said it just felt good to be around people. Important.
Yeah, it did, because we had gone through the grieving process of my brother. Then I just had a surgery and still wasn't feeling the best. So I hadn't been around people much, and I didn't feel like physically. I didn't feel like making the effort to get dressed and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Right.
but my
Right.
wife encouraged me strongly. She said, "It'll just be good for you." I don't know why. I just feel like it'll be good for you just to be out around people. Don't do anything. Just sit in the chair. And she was 100% right. Just seeing people walk through the door, smiling, giving a hug, whatever. Yeah, it was medicine. It was real medicine.
Right.
Again,
Can you quickly real quickly speak to I know I just felt to mention this, quickly speak to this Christian life because we've all experienced it here in the last couple months, this Christian life of not just being this happy thing all the time, every day. You're gonna have some dips, and some crevices. However, how do we still win in the end?
that is awesome. Well, Jesus said that it rains on the just and the unjust.
Right.
So that means even with all of the truth of the word, God never promises that I'm going to cover you so much that you'll never have a problem. And I had the thought the other day, it's kind of arrogant for us to be shocked or mad at God when we have problems,
Mm,
because we know other people have problems. So why are we so special that we can't have a
right.
problem? We don't want them, of course, but they're
Hmm.
there. But
Hmm.
the promises of God are that's part of what grace is. Grace is unmerited favor, but it's also God's ability. So there's kind of two ways God can answer a prayer for you. He can bless you that you don't have problem X,
Right.
or he can give you grace that protects you and helps you in the midst of problem X,
Gotcha.
you
Gotcha.
know? And so
Okay.
sometimes his heroic answer is the problem totally missed me.
Mhm.
Other
Mhm.
times is, man, I did have this problem for a while, but once you look back, but God was preserving me. I didn't lose my mind. Other people lost their mind when they went through thing X. Somehow I have my mind and others
Yeah.
don't.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's
Right.
about that gratitude. So then we fall back to gratitude. We make ourselves, when things are going really great, it's easy to be grateful. When problems come, we have to kind of dig on purpose and
Right.
find what I can be thankful for. And
Gotcha.
sometimes the thankful
Mm.
part is just, I'm still here.
Right.
Or I always go back to Ezekiel in chapter 37. God shows him a vision of all these dead bones,
Hmm.
and God's telling
Right.
him,
Right.
I'm going to restore these. This is
Bones. Right.
the bones are Israel. You've been defeated and stuff, but I'm going to raise them back up as a standing army. All this,
Right.
and God asked Ezekiel something like, "What do you see? Whatever. What
Yeah.
do you think about this?" And Ezekiel says, "Well, Lord, you know,
Right.
Thou knowest." He
Right.
didn't have enough faith at the moment to say, "Yes, God, you're going to do it,"
Mm-hmm.
but he
Just
did.
like,
He
oh,
also
you
did.
know.
You're right. But he didn't
Right.
want to say the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, Lord, you know. So
Right.
sometimes we don't have a bold confession or a bold
Mm-hmm.
answer. We just have
Mm-hmm.
to say, Lord, you know.
Lord, you know.
God,
Right.
you got it. In the
Right.
midst,
Yeah.
and he has a way of turning your situation into a testimony just for
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's not be shocked when we have problems, but let's believe God to turn things around
Right.
and to preserve us until the turnaround happens. And
I like it.
sometimes a problem is a blessing. Last thing I'll say is, let's say that you're upset that some people rejected you, whatever. They won't hang out with you at work, or you didn't get the job, or
Mm-hmm.
uh, the roommates kicked you out of the apartment. Something that didn't work concerning people that can be very hurtful. But sometimes, if you just keep trusting God, you'll be able to look back and say, "Woo,
Wow,
I'm
you
glad
missed
I
it.
didn't
Right.
connect with them because
Mm-hmm.
they got into some stuff later."
Right.
Or
Right.
maybe nothing bad happened with them, but if I
Mm-hmm.
had connected there,
Right.
I would have been satisfied. And the next
Mm.
good opportunity I wouldn't have gone to. So I
Right.
needed them to
Right.
treat me rude.
Yeah.
So I left them and was available for
Mm-hmm.
the next
Makes
blessing.
sense. Wow.
So there's all kind of,
Yeah.
God has all kind of hidden gems, even in the
Right.
midst of stuff
Love
that's not
stuff.
fun.
That's great. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Well, Mark, I love this, and we'll be doing
Yeah.
this again, and different people
Okay.
sharing and different
Yeah,
folks.
absolutely. It was great.
But yeah, thank you so much for this.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.